Asia, you are that girl. I know you see me. Can you see me? KP, I know you see me calling you, girl. Ooh, KG, that was cute. Yes, ma'am, KG. I know this service is working. I have Verizon Wireless. Our service don't break down. No. Yes, Janae. Work me, Janae. You have an incoming call, girl. Answer the phone. Now.
What is going on, Miss Jada? How you doing?
Good. How are you, Morgan?
Child, busy as ever, child. Oh my God. But it's nice seeing you here. Thank you for coming. Oh my God. I
Thank
know
you.
it's very time consuming, but yes, we're gonna have some fun up in here. Okay. All right. So, can you do me a favor and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jada Tanks. I am a sensational stingette. I crabbed in 2018. And yeah, that's just about it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, before becoming a sensational singette, like what other dance experiences did you have?
I didn't really have any dancing experience. I cheered for, I want to say 7 to 8. It's 7 to 10 for real, for real. I cheered competitively 7 to 10 years, and I danced my sophomore year, I think it was, in high school. I started dancing majorette my sophomore year in high school. It was a small band, so it really wasn't, the dance team really wasn't, how can I say it? They weren't really into the art of dance, if that makes sense, when I first joined. So it was kind of like an extracurricular, because cheerleading was my first love. And all we were doing was dance for real, if that makes sense. So that it wasn't really any, I didn't really have any relevant dance background before becoming a stingette, if that's how you want to say it. But
So, how do you think you being a cheerleader really helped you become a dancer?
Okay, so I will say cheerleading definitely helped my physical ability to kind of mesh well into the dancing physical abilities that people have to have. Um, I guess like as far as like leg strength, arm strength, all core wise, all of that kind of like helped me adapt more to the dancing ability. So it definitely played a big part. I do feel as though if I didn't have the cheer background that I did, it would have took me a lot longer to get as far as I was as far as dancing. It took me roughly a year and a half to get technique down for real, for real. And I think cheerleading played a huge part in that.
Yes, because like when it comes to cheerleading, like they're like stick moves. So it's like you have to have like straight arms, like everything has to play a part. Like I get you 1000% because ooh, child. So what makes this thing as unique and different from other teams?
What makes this thing that's unique would definitely, I'm thinking of one word, and I would have to say, I feel like we're eccentric. And eccentric is basically being unconventional. So not really like what you would expect, if that makes sense. I feel like our style is very much unexpected. So to kind of like be more specific, and this is like maybe like too specific. Like let's say I'm being taught a count, or I'm being taught some pieces of a routine, or whatever the case may be. You know, we're doing one, and you would think two would be one move, but it's not that. So it's like unexpected. Right. Yeah, I feel like our moves are really like you wasn't expecting that. I also think what sets us apart from other teams is I feel like we don't have to, and I'm not trying to boast, but this is how I feel like I feel like we don't have to do too much to captivate the audience. I feel like we naturally pull the audience in, if that makes sense.
Right. I do agree with you because I feel like when it comes to stingettes, like the entertainment is the counts. Yes. But the dancers, they bring so much life to the count. So yeah, exactly. I get you 1000%. Yeah, exactly. I get you. So speaking of, you saying you said it's eccentric. I don't know how to say it. So with you saying eccentric, like how would you describe Stingettes, like the style in 3 words? Like how would you Like, what words would you pick to describe the style?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep eccentric.
Okay.
I would say intentional because I feel like our movements are intentional whenever we do them.
Right.
And I feel like intention, like the word intentional could vary across the park when it comes to the Stingette style, but I would definitely say intentional and captivating. So,
Yeah. Most
captivating.
definitely captivating. Yeah. So in your mind, like, what is the definition of a Stingette?
Hmm. In my mind, the definition of a Stingette, and this is probably basic, and I feel like people have already kind of came on here and said kind of similar things, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's truth. I feel like the definition of a Stingette is somebody who is confident, bold, intentional. Like those words, like kind of all go in.
Correlate. Yeah.
Yeah, they all correlate with each other. I feel like we're just what's the word? I'm trying to think of like a word to just bring it all together. Um I just feel like we're anything that you can describe us to be, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
I like
I
I feel
get you.
like I feel like we can do it all, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
rounded. Yeah.
It's just something about the Stingettes, and it's really the little things with the Stingettes, like the head nods, and just little small things that really make Stingette Stingette. You know what I'm saying? That's something that a lot of people admired about you is the little head nods, the small things that really matter. The small
Mm-hmm.
details. So I get you. So how was your experience being a part of the Lucky Seven? Was being a part of the Lucky Seven, was that something that do you feel like that was like a step into becoming a Stingette for you?
Um So, backtracking to the beginning of the question, my experience, I'm gonna start from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
um, was definitely unrealistic for me. I was, and a lot of people know this, a lot of people that know me for sure know this, I was a diehard Stingette fan, becoming a Stingette,
Mm.
becoming a Stingette. Um, so I am from College Park, Georgia, Clayton County, if you will,
Okay, Clay Cole.
and it's not really. I feel like College Park, we don't have really that much representation when it comes to like bands, and I feel like our band they're coming back up, but I feel like at that point in time, like our band programs in the public schools were kind of dying down compared to
Yep.
what it used to be. Um, so me coming from that, it was kind of like I knew I wanted to be a Stingette, and it was just like, okay, I'm gonna just do this video and see what happens. I did it over
Yeah.
and over again too. I remember the process, but I was like, I'm gonna see what happens. And I ended up getting picked, and it was just like Jada. Like I didn't have technique for real during this time. Like once I got picked, I didn't have technique for real. I was
Mm.
like, you got picked. You could actually try out if you wanted to. You could actually audition if you wanted to. Like it was a thought in my mind because I was a Stingette fan, but it was never like a I never really, I think, processed me auditioning for real, like sat down with myself, like I'm gonna audition until after doing the Lucky Seven. I just knew that I wanted to be a Stingette, and I love the Stingettes. So with going into it, and thankfully I was nervous because I didn't really know anybody, and a lot of the people that were chosen were from these teams that were well known. So that was kind of intimidating for me, coming from this school didn't know nobody know nothing about.
Right.
But I did know Shina. She danced. She was captain for Arabia High School. I didn't know Shina because I had.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of made me comfortable going in. So as far as the process, I would say it was definitely, like I said, unrealistic because I was a fan. Like I remember the first time we practiced with the band on the field. That was my first time hearing the band in person because I went to MCC the year before as a birthday gift. My birthday was around that. My birthday was around that time, and I so desperately wanted to see the Stingettes in person. So that was my second time hearing the band in person, and I just remember getting chills, like goosebumps, like, am I really here now? Like, I remember standing in Sensational and watching the Stingettes get their formations together, like, you know, the high schoolers standing on the other side and we watching the Stingettes getting their formations together. I just couldn't believe that I was here. I was just happy to be here. Like, I just couldn't believe that I was here, like, for real. And yeah, so with that being said, like, the whole thing in a nutshell was just unrealistic to me. And after that, it definitely opened my eyes as far as, like, I could actually audition. I might have a shot for real if I try out. So let me take it serious. That's when I began to, like, really focus on what I needed to get, like, their field shows. Because I was one of the ones that wasn't studying field shows. I was studying stands every single day. I was studying stands. I was studying stands. So it was then that I was like, okay, like, let me for real do what I need to do to get on this team if I had a shot to. So
yeah, and it's crazy because you wouldn't even think that, you know, you weren't really into like dance like that until you like really got to high school. Like you were a strong dancer, okay? Like I felt like you were a strong dancer.
Thank
and
you.
I truly understand about the whole you being from Clayco because I'm from DeKalb. And band life, it has died down drastically. And I hate it. I really hate that it died so bad. Like every week was so fun, you know? That's just how it was for me.
Yeah.
We had so much fun.
Understand.
So what gravitated you to the Stingettes? Like what made you want to try out?
Okay, well, maybe because when I first got introduced to majorette dance, funny story, kind of, not really funny, but it's funny to me. I wasn't checking for majorette dance for real. Like I said, cheerleading was my first love. I was a diehard competitive cheerleader. And I had a music class. I had a music class in high school, and my band director, the band director of the school, North Clayton, at the time, he knew I was a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader. I was coming to class every day or every other week with these champion jackets on. And he was like, "What do you do, Debbie? What do you do?" He was like, "Why don't you try?" He was like, "Why don't you try out for dance?" Because I was a cheerleader. I was like, "Okay," not really paying no attention to it because, like I said, I was cheer is it. I don't know nothing about cheer is it. And I found just said, you know what the heck? What's the worst that could happen? So I tried out. He basically pushed me to try out. Shout out to him for that because I don't think I would have started and if it wasn't for him pushing me to dance. But I started dancing, and once I started dancing, I'm like, okay, let me introduce myself to what it is that I'm getting myself into. So I started looking up videos on YouTube. Many videos. I was looking at Ooh La La. I was looking at Golden Delight. Golden Delight was definitely one of my top contenders because I love their versatility. And I was, I'm a cheerleader, so I like tricks and stuff like that. And I feel like Golden Delight did a lot of that at the time. I was also looking at the Golden Passionettes, ASU Golden Passionettes. I was looking at everybody. Yeah. Those three, for some reason, Ooh La La, Golden Passionettes, and Cat, I was looking at them more frequently. And then I remember talking to my cheer coach because, came time once I made the dance team, I had to start expressing her, like, I got practice for this. I'm not going to be able to come to this practice. Like, that conversation came into play. So she is the mother of Brittany Woodard. That's my godmom too. So she was like, Brittany danced. And I'm like, she danced? What school did she go to? Like, I didn't know nothing about Brittany dancing. She was like, she went to ASU. She was a Stingettes. You should talk to her. So I remember talking to Brittany. She overseas. She wasn't really in the States. She moves around overseas a lot. So I remember talking to her, and she was so excited. Her younger sister, which is, they're both my god sisters. Her younger sister, we were best friends at the time. It was like a group of us that cheered that really liked dancing, kind of like we were just like, we was cheering, but we was like, once I started dancing, we started looking into like, what they got going on over there. Like, let's they got going on.
You was getting inquisitive.
Yeah. So we started looking more into dance, and she kind of like, it was three of us. She kind of like took us up under her wing. And whenever she would come back to the States, she would like do these miniature boot camps for us. We would go running, working out heavily. And she would kind of like teach us some Stingette, this, that, and the third. And that's really, for real, what motivated me towards specifically the Stingettes. So once she kind of like introduced Stingettes to me, I started looking up videos of the Stingettes. And I was trying to more specifically look at videos in '07 when she was captain. But I couldn't really find videos. I did find like a few videos in '06, but barely with her in the back though. So then I just started looking at all videos of this thing. And the one video that really made me like, oh yes, was MCC 2014. I think it was King's back. When they had.
Yes.
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with that video, and I was like, oh my gosh, like. I just felt like they were just so confident. And at that time in my life, I wasn't that confident. So it was like, I want to be her. I want to be them. I want to be in the stands. Yeah. I want to be doing exactly what it is that they're doing. So from that point on, I was just Stingette. Like I was looking at Stingettes 24/7. And Brittany kind of like helped me to, or groom me in a sense to prepare me for the Stingette style. So.
It seems like you were really inspired. Like that's what it seems. It seemed like he was really inspired. Yeah. And speaking of being inspired, like outside of Brittany, like who really inspired? Like what Stingette inspired you?
I don't know if y'all know, but most of y'all gonna know who I'm gonna say. Yasmin.
Oh yeah,
Yasmin, most definitely, and. It started after Lucky 7. She reached out to a handful of us, but Yasmin is such a genuine spirit. She is such a genuine spirit. After Lucky 7, she reached out to us. She was kind of like, she was there for us like throughout the whole process. Like throughout the whole process, she was kind of like there for us, like genuinely there for us, like sending us paragraphs when we was done, making sure we was good after it was all said and done, whether we was auditioning or not. And she was just always there for us. She was always there for us. So with that being said, being on a team with her, she just exuded this personality that I so like I wanted to be that. You get what I'm saying? Like she just a pure spirit, and it was just so inspiring. It made me want to like exude that as well. Like Yasmin definitely is one of a kind. She's one of those people that you come across in your life once. She's one of those people. Yeah. She's that person for me. So yeah.
I get genuine from her too. I definitely get genuine from her. Most definitely. Yes. So how was your first time trying out for Stingettes? Like, what was that like? Like, were you nervous? Were you scared? Like, how was that experience?
I would say before going in, I was definitely nervous, but once the first day hit, like once I was through them doors and I was lined up with everybody else, it was like I had tunnel vision. And that was the first time in a while that I've ever done something like that. Because if anybody knows me, they know I overthink and they know I get in my head a lot. But for some reason with that audition experience in particular, it was like a switch. And I think it was because I wanted it so bad that it was just like, okay, all or nothing, get it together. I just completely zoned out. Like I completely zoned out that audition. I remember the atmosphere of the whole audition. I think, what was that, 2018? I remember the atmosphere of the audition being so, like everybody was hungry. Like everybody was hungry. And it was so many girls, like from that audition versus the other years that I've auditioned, that was the most that it was, that was the most girls that auditioned since the years on out that I auditioned. And I just remember we was working out. That was another thing. Because Miss Williams was over it, and she was intimidating. She was really intimidating. You know, the girls from last year coming to try out was intimidating. I remember I purposely. Is she gonna see this? I know she gonna see this. I purposely stood next to Janae because I knew Janae was a good dancer. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stand next to her. And that was so bold of me. I couldn't believe I did that. So I purposely stood next to her up front. And it was also to kind of like observe her in a bit. Like, I knew she was one of those dancers, so it's also kind of like me trying to strategically like observe what it is that she's doing. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I knew she was one of those girls to look at. So it kind of like pushed me being next to her. That gave me a push too, like to fight for my spot. So I knew that that was the best thing I could do. Because me, I don't know what came over me, because me before that probably would have went all the way in the back somewhere. But I wanted to be.
I was about to say, because most girls, they go to the back, like they go straight to the back. Like it was like you said, it was so bold of you, but it needed to happen. It needed to happen.
And actually, and I think I also did it, and she probably don't remember this, but Courtney, ooh, I don't know her last name, Jesus, but Courtney that was on the team the year before that, she actually, I had a dance class with her.
Smith.
Yes, Smith. Mm-hmm. I had a dance class with her, and I kind of like put a bug in her ear that I want to try out for Stingettes. And she was the one that actually advised me to be in the front for audition. So I knew I was going to already do that. But I didn't know I was going to be in the front with Janae. Like, I didn't think I was going to do that. I was just kind of like in the spur of the moment. Let me just go.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just, let's see what this talk about. So I did it. And yeah, the whole atmosphere was just, everybody was gunning for a spot. Everybody was fighting for that spot tooth and nail. Like, you could feel the tension. The tension was so thick the whole audition process. But it was intimidating. Good. Like, it was good. Like, I liked that everybody was like driven. Like, that was, I liked it. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. So now that you've made the Stingettes, like, how did you feel once, they called your number, or however they, called you?
Immediately when they called my number, I remember breaking down crying. Of course I broke down because I was a fan. Like, this was unrealistic for me. I didn't think, like, it was just steps to it. It was steps to it. It was me just dreaming about it, like looking at them on YouTube every day, day in, day out. Then it went to me making the Lucky 7. And then it went to me actually being in auditions. It was just like steps to becoming. And it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like I hit, like, I'm at the summit, if that makes sense. Like, this is that moment. Like, it was kind of like all of those years of me, like, dreaming or only wishing, I guess, like, finally came into fruition, if that made sense. It was unrealistic. I just remember bawling out, crying. I remember hugging Kaylin, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm hugging Kaylin. Like, wow.
Like, were you one of those too? Like, were you starstruck?
Yes, I was. Yeah. I definitely.
That's how it be, though. That's how it is. Because it's like you look at these girls, and it's just like, dang, like, I really want to at least dance next to her, or I want to just get a chance just to be on the team. So I get it. Shoot, I'll be starstruck too, child. How was it, transitioning from high school to now you being a HBCU dancer? Like, how was that transition for you?
I wouldn't say it was that big of a transition, only because my last year dancing in high school, shout out to Miss Shakira, that was my dance coach the last 2 years that I danced in high school. She kind of like turned the dance program around at North Clayton, if that made sense. So we were more so introduced to things that I wasn't introduced to the first year that I was on the team. So we were being introduced to stuff like pirouettes, forte turns, like, all of the technical stuff as far as dance. And I was just now getting introduced to that within that year. The year before trying out for this thing, I was just now getting introduced to all of that good stuff. So, but I worked day in and day out. Of course, she couldn't work with me day in and day out, but when she was there for me, or whenever I needed her, she was there for me. A call away. Whenever I needed, like, hey, can you help me out with this? Can you tell me if this looked right? She was a call away. But I definitely worked, and I'm not exaggerating, every single day on some type of technique for a year, because I knew how much I had to catch up if I wanted to get on this team. So, as far as the transition, because it it wasn't that big of a transition, only because I was preparing myself for it already, if that makes sense. Now, I will say, as far as like becoming more mature in my movements, that was kind of a transition. That was definitely kind of a transition. Like, you went from, like, in my high school, we couldn't even wear leotards. Like, they didn't want us wearing leotards. Like, we were real, like, we couldn't do certain movements. Like, we were real, like, you can't do this. Like, we can't. We'll get in trouble. They was watching us. So going from that to going to, like, dancing sensually, touching on myself, like, you know, trying to tell a story with your movements, like, dancing more mature and not so kitty like it, that was definitely a transition. That was a transition. So yeah,
I can see, especially with you being a traditional freshman like that. I know that was a lot. You touching yourself, you doing all that. I get it. Yeah, I do get it. It's definitely a shock. It can be a shock. It definitely can. How was your overall crab experience?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm I feel like it was up and down, up and down. Like, I feel like the highs were definitely the highs and the lows were definitely the lows. So that being said, I feel like Yasmin definitely made it the best of what it was, if that made sense. Yasmin definitely made it the best of what it was. And I feel like I had grown that individual relationship with her for it to feel like that, in a sense. But like when I had like the lows, when we speaking to the lows, I'll just go ahead and put it out there. I don't too much care. I got in trouble my freshman year. And with me getting in trouble, a lot of stuff sparked from that. Like, I got sat out. A lot of people know that. I got sat out for two games. Well, the first game I got sat out for, that wasn't the reason that I brought upon myself. It was somebody else's mistake that I just got intertwined in. The second time I got out was solely because of me. And that was real because, like I said, like, I was a diehard fan of Stingettes, and this was something that meant a lot to me, like a lot to me. So with me getting sat down, like, you know, having the whole little talk with Dr. Oliver about potentially being kicked off the team, that was a low for me. Like, that was the ultimate low for me. I would say I was like depressed for a couple of weeks on that one.
Dang.
I was, because this was, like I said, I couldn't believe that I put my position on the team in jeopardy. But I, like, coming off of that, I feel like everything else as far as my crab experience was, like I said, highs, lows, and lows. Like, you got the Rose Bowl experience. Like, that was a high for me. The Rose Bowl, going to California, that was definitely a high for me. I've never been to California. My first time going to California, everything was just peaches and cream. Like, I just definitely had those highs and those lows my crab year. But
I did. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did notice that I didn't see you the first couple games ish around there. I was like, oh, where's she at? Because I was looking for footage so I can, you know, put the beat roll, and I'm like, where's she at? But we found you. We found you, Chad.
Yep.
So how was Yasmin as a captain? Like, what is something that she instilled in you that you really kept with yourself throughout your years as a collegiate dancer?
Yasmin as a captain, she was definitely, I would say, first and foremost, she was a mom. But she was one of those moms. She was like a soccer mom. Yasmin was definitely like she was very like energetic, but she was always on you, but on you in like an endearing way. She was just very much full of life, but she was also very, like, she had a switch, and we knew she had a switch to where she was this sweet person, and, you know, she's encouraging you in such this sweet way and motivating you, but we knew, like, when it was serious or when it was go time, like, it was go time. We knew, like, she had a switch. She just, like, she didn't what's the word? What's the phrase that I'm looking for? Say that again.
Blindside.
She didn't blur the lines. She didn't blur the
Okay.
lines between our individual relationships with her versus business, like in practice. She didn't blur the lines. Like we knew for sure when to, take her serious, and when like we can like,
Kind of play around.
out with her. Yeah, kind of like get a
Yeah.
little her. We knew for
Yeah.
sure. That was something that she did very well too, because like on my years, you see people try it, like on my years being on the team,
Oh
not
yeah.
even the team, being on other teams with people in authority. You see people, because some people get like what's the word, confused on how that person in higher authority may be acting, so they kind of like try it a little bit. She was real good with balancing, like having a balance to where we knew, but um
Mm-hmm.
one thing she instilled in me that I carry with me onto this day would probably be just never giving up. That was Yasmin, just never giving up. Like once I set my mind to do something, to carry it out through and full. That was Yasmin. So that was definitely something that she instilled within me.
Yeah. Get the full experience. Get the
Mm,
full experience. So what do you think you learned about yourself your crab year?
my crab year, I learned that I was stronger than I think. And the reason that I say that was I was very doubtful of myself before becoming Stingette. Very, very doubtful. And sometimes I still struggle with self-doubt. But seeing myself accomplish as much as I did up until making the team, it kind of like, and throughout making the team too, because we have those obstacles while on the team too. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
like put into my mind, or made me realize like I could do a lot of the things that I'm telling myself that I can't do, or trying to convince myself that I can't do. I can do it. So why am
Yeah.
I being so hard on myself? That's definitely one thing in particular for sure that I learned about myself my crab year.
Yeah. And sometimes we need that, reassurance, and we
Hmm.
have to ask questions. Like we
Yeah.
have to go through those things.
Yeah.
Definitely. What would you say it was, as far as like stinging elements, like what would you say was the hardest thing to grasp for you your crab year, like dance wise?
Mm. And when I say this, I'm not trying to again boast, but I'm being honest. Um, I can't really think. I can think of something, but it's not. I know it's not really like the answer you're looking for. But I'm gonna say this before I say that. I didn't really struggle. I mean, other than technique, of course, but I didn't really struggle with that. I feel like I caught on really quickly because of my dancing ability. I mean, my cheerleading ability prior to.
Hmm.
I didn't really struggle with anything as far as sing it for real, for real. I mean, of course, I got corrected on certain things. Of course, I did, but I didn't really struggle with anything. And I think it's because I was one of the people that was studying them like to a T from all the way since my sophomore year in high school, like every single day. And
Mm-hmm.
with me studying them to a T, and when I say studying them to a T, I don't mean like when I was studying stuff like stands, I wasn't just like copying like, okay, I think they did that. No, I was looking at, let me look at how, because Asia was one of her year was the year that I was really heavily watching. I was like, let me look at how Asia doing this, so let me look at how Lashanae is doing that exact same movement. Like I was like really like distinguishing every single girl's movement on that one or on that end, like to try to see what it is cohesively, because everybody do something different, but cohesively what is the
Right.
majority. That was me. So because I was that detail oriented, I didn't really struggle for real with anything as far as the Stingette style crabbing, because it was kind of like second nature to me. But like I said, of course, I got corrected. One thing that I did have trouble with as far as like just dancing wise in general was I don't know what to call this, but doing hands like this. So if you
Oh yeah,
go,
yeah,
yeah, my wrist, I don't know what it is, but I can't flex my wrist back. Like
yeah.
I can't flex it back. So sometimes, and Brianni was telling me this, Brianni and Kenzie was telling me this. They said sometimes it looks like I have doll hands.
Doll hands,
Yes.
yes.
And
Yes.
I'm trying to make it look like that. I'm trying to straighten it out, but my muscles or whatever it is right here is not letting me straighten it out. Like if you look back on if you look back on videos of us doing Bama State Spirit, I hated doing Bama State Spirit. When they changed it to this instead of this was good for me. But once we started going to this, you can see I'm doing this the whole time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because my wrists were killing me.
That works. That works. Because that is kind of hard. And some people, they kind of curve a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. How was your relationship with your crab sisters?
Crabbing, like on the team? Well, yeah, on the team.
Yeah, your crab sisters. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so starting out, of course, the relationship was non-existent. We just getting to know each other, so it wasn't really a relationship. But I did automatically click with Chantel. She was the first person that I clicked with, and I think I don't want to go off of horoscopes, but it's something about Sagittarius. I'm always clicking with Sagittariuses. Like they're like my mom is a Sagittarius. My coach that was really influential in my life is a Sagittarius. Like a lot of people that like hold a lot of weight in my life are Sagittariuses, and me and Chantel just hit it off. Then I kind of got close to Lagi. Lagi was a tough cookie though. She wasn't really close with nobody.
I believe you.
I ended up kind of getting close to Lagi, but it was also because we came from Lucky 7 together. So me, her, and Bree was trying to like, look out for each other, if that made sense. So I kind of like got close to Lagi during that. Everybody else, I feel like we all had like okay. Well, I would just say me because I don't know about everybody else, but everybody else for real, I'll say my relationship with Diamond and Alexis, I didn't really have a relationship with them crabbing, but I definitely got a relationship with them outside. Like once Stingettes was all set, and literally after we was done crabbing and we was allowed to do whatever we wanted, I immediately clicked with Alexis and Diamond. That it was after the crabbing that I clicked with those two. Now while crabbing, I would always argue. I was always arguing with Zoe, Brianna, and Marcia. I was always arguing with them three, and it's because they have strong personalities, and I'm kind of like, and not just strong personalities. They're kind of like, I don't want to say nonchalant, but they're not. I'm very sensitive. I'm extremely sensitive, so I might take certain things personal, and they might look at it as like, you tripping. And that was why we was always clashing, because I was just taking everything personal. Like they were real jokesters too, if that makes sense. They was real jokesters, and some people like, it's a joke. I take everything personal, so it was like, well, now. So that's why we was always arguing. But I did develop a relationship with Zoe during the AKA process. I developed a relationship with her. Bree during Delta Phi Delta. And I just kind of developed my relationships with everybody else outside of Stingettes, like later on after. So
yeah. Hey, as long as you got a relationship, that's all that matters. So in 2018, like there was a lot of opinions, like a lot of supporters weren't too happy with 2018 for some odd reason. Like what kept y'all's head strong? Like what made you guys like look over the negativity and just keep going?
Well, Miss Williams and Yasmin really, 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 really instilled within us being focused on what it is that we needed to do. So like as far as like comments, I don't know if Squad Buddies was around at that time. I don't know.
It wasn't that big.
It was something on Facebook. I don't know what it was. I think it was another thing because my mama was in it too. It was another Facebook group chat. I don't know. But as far as all of that stuff, they really encouraged us not to look at it, like whether it was positive or negative. They really encouraged us not to look at it. And it could really be detrimental going both ways, like positive and negative. I mean, a lot of people gonna think like negative, of course, like if you reading all these negative comments, it's getting in your head and now you can't perform. But positive comments can also very much be detrimental to growth as well. I've seen it. A lot of the times people get all these positive comments and feel like they're all of a sudden unteachable, if that makes sense. So they really encouraged us to just focus on what it is in-house, what it is that they needed us to do. And we kind of just did that. And we just kind of as a collective, like, knew like we wasn't going, like, if we looking at YouTube videos, we strictly looking at YouTube videos to see what we could do better. We're not even scrolling to even start to look at what the comments are saying, because we already know, because it did, like, when starting out, we were kind of like inching towards looking at those comments, and we saw how it kind of affected individuals on the team. So from that day forward, it was just like, no, we're not going to do this, because it really did. It has a big effect. It has a huge effect on a dancer's mental and how they perform. So
I definitely agree.
Yeah. And then also my mom, so thankful for her. She kind of brought me up on just not worrying about what other people say. I have not looked at any comments about me. I promise you, I have not looked at about me. The last time I looked at comments about me was my first game, which was Labor Day Classic. And that's when I stopped, because I messed up Labor Day Classic. And I remember seeing all of them comments, the negative comments about me. And I was just like, dang, you know what, Jada? We're just not going to look at comments anymore. Whether it's good or bad, we're not going to look at comments anymore, because I don't want it affecting me and what I do on the team. So I haven't looked at comments. But yeah, they definitely instilled within us just remaining the course and staying focused. So
yeah, most definitely. And I definitely agree with you when you said that it positive and negative, like it affects everybody. Like it really does, because you could say the nicest thing about somebody and it's just like they get the biggest head, you know?
Yeah.
Like they'll get the biggest head or you know, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. Like I see it every day. Okay.
Yeah.
So I get you. So as a crab, like who was your big sister? Like who took you under their wing?
My big sister, well, the big sister that was assigned to me was Rembert. So Caitlin Rembert. She was like and she probably gonna see this too, but Caitlin, it was me, Brianna, and Diamond. She was our big sister. But Caitlin was kind of like going through her own stuff. And I don't blame her. Because I was that big sister at one point in time. I was that big sister at one point in time. But it's all good because I love Caitlin. I love Rembert. So other than that, Caitlin kind of like, whether she took us or took me up under her wing or not, I kind of like cling to Caitlin, because she was like the auntie on the team, if that makes sense. She was also the oldest on the team. So she was like if Yasmin wasn't there, it was like Caitlin is in charge. Like we listening to Auntie Caitlin. Like, so she was like that other big sister Stingette, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So kind of similar to like if you think about like Asia and LaShanae. In a sense, I get what you mean. What would you say was your most memorable moment during your crab year?
My most memorable moment, California. It was definitely the Rose Bowl parade. And it's so crazy because it was just like memorable for great reasons, but also memorable for bad reasons, because like, oh my gosh, like we're in California and we're performing in front of all of these people, you know, ain't no other HBCU done this. Like, this is big for us. But it was also the 2-hour walk in Character Hills that was kind of like, and then I was sick. It was cold and I was so it was just like it was memorable for the good and bad, but it was the best experience for me, my crab year. Definitely.
So why didn't you come back in 2019? Like, was that a hard decision for you to make to not come back in 2019?
So initially, I didn't even know if I was coming back to school.
Mm,
2019. I was on a scholarship my freshman year. After crossing Delta Phi Delta, I ended up failing a class, and I
mm,
was in jeopardy of losing my scholarship. So I was in the process that whole summer. Like I didn't apply for housing. I didn't have none of that. I was in the process of trying to appeal my scholarship that whole summer. So I wasn't even worried about auditions, any of that. I'm like, am I even going to be back in school?
oof.
Um, and I ended up getting my scholarship appealed. I think it was the week before classes started, or if I'm not mistaken, maybe like within that week, maybe like a week to a day before classes started. Because I feel like I ended up actually coming to school the next week, the following week after classes had already started. And like even as far as housing, like I barely got housing. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember how I got housing, but I know somebody helped me, and I'm so sorry if y'all see this because I know somebody helped me get housing. Can't remember how because my head was a juggle during that time. Um but yeah, I Stingettes wasn't even in my brain around that time. I
Yeah.
was just on whether I was gonna be able to finish out what I started. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, just finishing out what you started, and you definitely finished it. You definitely finished it. So what made you say, okay, I'm not gonna do Stingettes. So instead of Stingettes, I'm gonna just cheer. Like, what made you say I'm gonna just cheer?
See, and this is what is so crazy, and whatever you speak becomes seriously. My first or not, yeah, closing out my crab year, I remember saying I wasn't gonna come back. And that was just me talking, like I wasn't being for real, but I did have somebody had put a bug in my ear at the end of my freshman year, crabbing like, why you just don't cheer and dance? Like you could come back and dance. I wasn't taking it serious, but I was kind of like putting it into the atmosphere, like just playing around. Like I'm gonna cheer next year. I'm not coming back. I'm gonna cheer. But I was just playing like in my head. I'm like, no, I'm coming back to dance. But
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking it. So funny thing is, they had already had cheer tryouts, and I think this is a week before classes had already started. This was maybe like the day that classes had started. Coach Greg, which is the coach for Alabama State cheerleaders, he reached out to me and basically asked me for the opportunity to submit audition videos because he knew
Mm.
I would. Yeah, he knew I was a competitive cheerleader, and I feel like Miss Williams. Thank her for that. Grateful for her. She kind of put a bug in his ear because she knew that I wasn't trying out for singing. She knew my whole situation. She knew my whole situation that was going on during the time that it was going on, and she was trying to help me out. And so I couldn't dance. So she kind of, I think Coach Greg inquired about me, and she was kind of like putting the bug in his ear, like, yeah, she did, like putting a good word in for me. So he reached out and asked me to submit videos. And at first I was like, I said yes to him, of course. But in my head, I'm like, I know I said this, but is it really like, am I really about to cheer? Like, am I really
Right.
about to cheer? Because I told myself, cheerleading is a mental game. I love cheerleading. Don't get me wrong. I love cheerleading. But cheerleading was definitely a mental game for me competitively. Like when I'm telling you anxiety through the roof, it was
Oh
definitely
yeah.
that for me. And so I was hesitant, like, am I really gonna get myself back into this? But I mean, I'm not doing nothing else. So let me just like this opportunity kind of just fell in my lap. Let me take advantage of it. So I did, and that's kind of how it happened. Like it just kind of presented itself to me, and I am so grateful. Thank you, Coach Greg, because that was probably my best experience at Alabama State. Like out of everything,
Mm.
cheerleading was the best, and I say that so confidently, like hands down.
I was about to ask you, like, how was your experience being a cheerleader now?
Being a cheerleader, well, one, we get to see. I got to see more of like what goes on in the inside, if that makes sense. Like you know how they get ready for games. They have these luncheons and stuff like that. Like for Magic City Classic, we were having all of these luncheons, like with the football players from both teams, like everybody that's involved in the games. Like it was real like exciting to be in on all of that stuff. You know, they need cheerleaders for a lot of the events that go on at Alabama State. So it was really exciting to also like feel like important to the university, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, don't get me wrong, I love my alma mater, but I feel like they don't really, they neglect the band sometimes. I feel like they neglect the band. So being a cheerleader, it was nice to get that perspective of like feeling important to the university, if that makes sense. But other than that, the atmosphere, like the team, oh my gosh, and I'm not like over exaggerating when I say this, but everybody was such a breath of fresh air. Oh my gosh. I remember being added to the group chat, and my captain at the time, Dorian, and Ashley, they were just so welcoming. Like they were just so welcoming, and it was just so refreshing, because at first I was nervous because I'm like, okay, they auditioned to be on the team, so I don't know like how they gonna feel with me. Like they had auditions prior to, and they had like summer camp and stuff like that. I missed all of that, so I don't know how they gonna feel with me coming on the team like that. So I was kind of like apprehensive, like I don't know how they gonna react to me. But everybody was just so welcoming, and I just felt like I fit right in. Like I felt like I was at home because of them. Like they made my experience that much better. It was literally the genuine people on the team that just made me love my experience of being a cheerleader. I just felt so happy that year.
Dang, that's good. That's really good. So do you like competitive cheer, or do you like regular football game cheer? Like which one did you like?
I love competitive cheer way more. And that was another reason I was apprehensive about trying out for cheerleading, because I've never done, I guess you could say, sideline cheer, but that's collegiate cheer, so that's not considered sideline cheer. But before I actually cheered collegiately, I'm looking at it as like, this is sideline cheer. Like I'm not used to this. I'm used to like doing the 2-minute, 30-second routine and performing it to the best of my, and trying to see if we finna get a trophy afterwards. That's what I was used to. So like cheering just for the fun of it, or cheering on the football team, I wasn't used to that. So I would definitely say still, like even after doing it, competitive cheer was definitely more so of my favorite. I like cheering, you know, like actually cheering on for the sports at state, but I like performing. I love performing. Cheer was definitely like give it your all, performing on the mat for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And I just love doing that. And it's just like an adrenaline rush when you cheering competitively. So that was definitely my favorite. But I love dancing collegiately too. Like they actually brought me out of my shell a bit. Like they pushed me in ways that I didn't think I could be pushed as a cheerleader, because I thought my cheerleading career had closed after I made the team for Stingettes, but it had kind of reopened, and they kind of like not made me realize, but pushed my ability as far as a cheerleader a little bit more. I was doing stuff that I didn't really do back when I was doing competitively, like flying. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing basketball, doing none of that. But they kind of pushed me and made me feel like I could do it. Like, and then it was the environment that made me feel like I could do it. They were just so encouraging. They didn't make it seem like it was like this big thing, like, oh my gosh, you got to get it. Like they were kind of lax about it, which made me feel lax about doing certain things that would back then kind of make my anxiety go up. They just kind of made me feel like do it. Like I could do it.
Yeah. What competitive cheer team were you on?
Cheer Time All Stars of Georgia. It's in the cap.
Okay. Oh really? I'm so used to that, because I have a lot of friends that's like Stingrays or like other stuff, you know.
Stingrays. Ellenwood big down there in the cab, but
So looking back, do you wish you would have danced in 2019? Because that was a cute team.
Yeah. I would say no. and of course I'm saying no, because like I said, the cheerleading experience was my best experience out of all my years at Alabama State. They were a team to be reckoned with, but I'm all about my happiness, and I feel like that was where I was supposed to be, and everything worked out how it was supposed to work out. I'm such a firm believer in that, and God worked that out the way that it was supposed to work out. So
yeah, most definitely. Shoot. So were you apprehensive about coming back for the 2020 season?
Yes, most definitely. I was definitely apprehensive, only because of course I had just took a year off and cheered. So it's like the things that I was kind of getting out of, because I had just came from dancing in high school, but for real, dancing, cheering competitively to getting a taste of the Stingettes, for real, to going back to cheering. So it's like, okay, I'm coming back dancing. Like, I didn't really get them full years in as Stingette, or consecutive years as Stingette, to like have it be second nature to me. Because, you know, they say it takes like 2 to 3 years to actually come into a Stingette for real. So I was definitely apprehensive in that aspect, as far as like how I was going to perform like my movements. But I was also apprehensive because I didn't know, like, coming from the year that I left off and then coming back, I didn't know how the atmosphere had changed, you know? And just gonna be honest, especially with what everything was going on that year before, I didn't know. I just was kind of like,
I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes. So how was your experience with the reveal video? Like, how was that?
I definitely say it was different. It was definitely different. It was long. I think we was there. Don't quote me, but I think this is what it was for real. We was there from the morning until 11 o'clock at night. That was aggravating.
I know it was.
That was aggravated, and that's because they had to get, so, you know, the reveal video was long. It was long.
Yeah.
Just imagine how many takes they had to do of certain sections of that reveal video to, like, if somebody messes up, or just to get different angles of the thing. It was a very long process. You know, I was tumbling in it, and that was tiring, tumbling over and over again. It turned out beautifully. I love the concept, but like, just going back to the reveal video, like actually like putting it in the works. No,
it's a lot.
I didn't enjoy it.
Ooh, that's a lot. I know that was a lot, child. So what did you want to do differently from your first year going into your second year? Like, what did you want to change about yourself?
My first year going into my second year, dance-wise, I definitely wanted to be more confident in my movements. And I said, when I say that, because a lot of people that come up to me or in talk, having conversations with people, say like I naturally dance confidently. But me knowing what I see in myself and knowing what I want to see different, so looking at my freshman year, I didn't see that. And I wanted, like, they could say, like, you danced confidently, but I didn't feel confident. I was faking it till I was making it, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's what I got to make it look like. But going into my second year, I actually wanted to be about it. Like, I wanted to, like, be like, I'm confident in my movements. Like, I'm not just acting it out. I'm actually confident in what it is that I'm doing. And then essentially, like, naturally naturally I'll be able to like swag it out. Because when we were crabbing, a lot of the times, like, Miss Williams had a method to her madness. When we were crabbing and we were doing certain movements, like, she would tell us not to do extra. Like, she would tell the crabs not to do extra. Like, the upperclassmen could like do a movement and kind of swag it out a bit, but they could do that because they've gotten the style down pat. As far as the freshmen, we couldn't do that. Like, if it was like just sit on 1, 2, like, or if the head was just like this, don't add no extra. We couldn't do that because she wanted us to like have the the basis of it down pat before we try to swag it out. Like the swag, she wanted that to come naturally.
That personality, right?
Yeah. She wanted that to come naturally. So my second year, I wanted that to kind of happen, but I wasn't trying to force it. I just wanted to, like, one day, I'm like, my personality is coming into play. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to happen dance wise. As far as something that I wanted to do, just like, I just wanted to be more vocal coming in my second year. Of course, I couldn't be vocal prior to because I was a crab, but I definitely wanted to use my voice and my opinions because I had a lot of them coming in my second year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having a voice, that is so important anyway. So I'm glad that you actually went and just was confident enough to even speak your opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yes. So how was Brianna as a captain in 2020?
Brianna was definitely, she was kind of like Yasmin. And she was kind of like Yasmin in the sense of, because Yasmin used to, when Yasmin was hard on us, she was hard on us as far as like discipline. And that was Brianna as a captain.
Mm-hmm.
She was like a disciplinarian, if that made sense. But she was also and when I say chill, I don't mean chill in a sense like I'm gonna let y'all do. She was like, what's the word? Like a lax disciplinarian. Like for example, somebody doing something wrong or something like that. She just looking at them like with a dead face, like, what are you doing? Like, that looks stupid. Like what that was as a captain.
Yeah.
That was definitely her as a captain. She was also I want to give her props too, because she was also doing a lot at the time that she was captain. Y'all know she was crossing Delta Sigma Theta and Tau. She was doing that, and then, you know, it was COVID going on, and it was just a lot going on for her. And she couldn't really be present, but during the times that she was present, she definitely made an impact. So I want to give her props. She definitely did good her year.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's crazy because a lot of people, like, when it comes to the 2020 season, you know how sometimes when the audience sees the first appearance of a team, right? And then eventually, you know, they'll be like, oh, I don't like them. And then by the close to the end of the season, they'll be like, oh, she was like one of the best.
Yeah.
So I did get to see a lot of the switching up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lived for Brianna. Like, she was like literally like authentic Stingette for me, in my opinion. Like, I lived for 2020 season. 2020 season was so fun. What did you say? I couldn't hear you.
I feel like she didn't have enough games. I feel like, what was it? Like only 45 games. I feel like she didn't have enough games to really like showcase what it is that herself and what it is that she could do with the team. I feel like that it wasn't enough games, but she did
most definitely.
I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I think. Me personally, I think that, you know, if she would have gotten that fall season, she would have did some damage. She would have did some damage.
I agree.
She definitely would have did some damage. So, being that, you know, 2020 we had COVID and everything, how was it with you guys not having a field show? I know you guys were supposed to have a field show, but like, did you want to do field shows in 2020?
I honestly didn't care, but I didn't mind not doing field shows only because like 9 times out of 10, like my last year dancing and the year before that, whenever, like, the whole first quarter is a blur to me. Like, even when we're doing stands, the whole quarter is a blur to me because the whole time I'm thinking about the field show. Them little minutes that we on the field, I'm thinking about. And then it's because Stingettes, I don't know if y'all know, but we 9 times out of 10 are choreographing a field show the week of or a few days before. So it's like, it was stressful. It was always, field shows were always stressful. So it's like, I mean, of course I wanted to be on the field, like actually like move around and dance for real. But it was also like, I don't mind the not having that stress. I don't mind. So it's
Yeah.
just like,
You could just focus on stands,
yeah,
it's real cute,
it was like, it was less stressful, but yeah.
Yes. So now that you are an upperclassman, like who did you take under your wing? Like who was your little sister?
Zykeria Autry.
Yes, that.
She was the little sister appointed to me my previous season. I also was appointed Taylor my 2020 season. I was also given her as well.
Let me tell you
So,
something. I
mm-hmm.
live for Tay.
Yeah,
I
I
wish she would have came back. I wish she would have came back, baby.
I know you do. She had a lot going on, but yeah, those two were the ones that I kind of took up under my wing. But Zai, like I said, I was an iffy big sister. I'm gonna be honest. I was an iffy big sister my senior. And I'm not even gonna blame Rimmer because, like I said, like Rimmer wasn't really, but she had all stuff going on. I understand. I understand a big sister in her junior year. I completely understand. I definitely wish I could have been more like there more for Tay. So like in the last season that we had when I was giving Zai, I told myself I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. Yeah. And that's what I did. I really saw a lot of myself in Zai. Like and I also had more time to like kind of like pour more so into her my senior year too. And I really tried to sit with her and kind of like analyze her and her needs, if that made sense. And that's my little baby. That's my little baby.
Yeah.
We kind of just...
I love Zai. Zai is that girl, okay? Yeah. So how was Miss Williams and Miss Amir different as far as like being a sponsor? Like how were they different?
They definitely like day and night. I'll say that for sure. Miss Williams, she's older. Miss Amir is younger. So it's kind of like new school versus old school. Miss Amir was more so there for like, she let the captains kind of like do what they do as far as dance wise. She was kind of like hands off when it came to dance wise. But when it came to like looks and stuff like that, she was heavy with the look. She was really hands-on when it came to like our appearance. That's what she more so dabbled in. Miss Williams was more so focused on what we did dance-wise. She was real heavy in like practice when it came to us doing stands or doing the field show. She was real heavy in that. And both experiences were like, I feel like I took good and kind of like I could have kind of did without from both experiences. And just to like give a quick example, like for example, how I said Miss Amir was kind of like really focused on the appearance of us, like elevating the appearance of the Stingettes. That came with doing stuff like having to pay extra for makeup or having to pay extra hair. Like it was way like more expensive, and it was like I hated it at first. I definitely hated it at first because we college students. My mom was trying to put somebody. Well, she was getting ready because Jordan wasn't in college yet, but she was getting ready to put somebody else through college. You get what I'm saying? So I'm working. I'm in college. I'm giving my money to y'all. My parents don't really have the money to, fund for me now, and now I gotta pay out of pocket for hair and makeup every single game. That was that. I couldn't wrap my head around that one. I couldn't. But eventually I kind of like warmed up to the fact because it did kind of eliminate a lot of stress during game days. Like versus my first year having to get up early because I got to do my own makeup. Just getting up early and knowing like I could just sit in the chair and fall asleep if somebody could do my makeup, or like I don't have to worry about hair. That definitely eliminated stress. So all I had to worry about for real was what I needed to do once we got out there. So that was like a good and a bad. So when it comes to like Miss Williams' method, we had to do our own hair, makeup, or we had to do each other's hair and makeup. Like we were more so hands-on with our look. And that was always stressful. So that was bad about it. That was always stressful. Just having to like think about how I'm gonna do my makeup or like how I'm gonna make this look, achieve this look. That was stressful, and on top of like thinking about, you know, what we actually there for, which is dancing. But I will say it definitely was good that we did that because it prepared me. It definitely prepared me. I ended up like, because I was so, at first I was asking upperclassmen. Yasmin was one of the people that was always helping us do stuff. And of course, some like Kaylin would come in and help too. But Yasmin was one of those captains where she would bite the bullet and like do everybody's hair or do it like if she needed to. Like if she had no choice, she was going to have to. She was very selfless. So eventually it just got to a point where I was like, I'm tired of having to ask people to braid down my hair or having to put my eyelashes on. And I kind of just forced myself to be self-sufficient with doing my own makeup or doing my own hair. And that was the what am I trying to say? That prepped me for the long run. That prepped me for the long run. Because in the other years, you know, following dancing, there were times where we couldn't get our makeup and hair done by other people. So them times where we couldn't get our hair done and makeup done by other people, you know, the freshmen, they were so used to being pampered, you know. So sitting back, like, and observing, like, everybody running around like chickens with their head cut off because they like, oh my gosh, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. And it's just like the moments that I'm like thankful, like, although it was so hectic, I'm just thankful that I had to, you know.
Now that you speak on as far as like, you know, you guys having to do your own thing as far as with Miss Williams, I kind of like the concept because when you really think about it, it's just like that's a good way to bond with your sister anyway.
Yes, and that's another thing. That is another thing. And I was telling one of the freshmen that when we was having a conversation about it. I think it was somebody was having a breakdown because they was trying to figure out who's gonna do their makeup or whatever the case may be. And I was telling them like y'all playing around with them. Y'all was pampered, and I was telling stuff like that did like kind of build bonds. Like I remember me and Lagi would walk to Yasmin's room at like right after practice, straight out of practice. We walk into Yasmin's room to go get our hair done. I got pictures in my phone. Kaylin braiding down Lagi hair, Yasmin sewing in my hair. Wow, it did just.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, it was a team effort. Like our first game, everybody meeting up in Yasmin room to put together our bob wigs. Like I got pictures of that too. It did definitely bring the team closer in those moments. It did.
And like you said, as far as like with the Amir's concept, it's more so of like at least we look good, you know what I'm saying? And at least we look put together to where like we all look as a unit, you know. That's another thing that I on her. So I see both sides of what you're saying. Yes. Going into 2021 season, like, was captain something that you wanted or something that you saw for yourself?
Honestly, initially, no. Ever since becoming a Stingettes, I was just happy to be there. I never really, of course, everybody like, and then you got people putting in people's heads like, oh girl, you could be captain. You should try for captain. And then of course everybody like kind of like imagines themselves being captain when they're on a team. But I never really took it serious because I was just happy to be there and I wasn't ready for that responsibility. I felt like I wasn't ready for that responsibility. But coming back initially in like, or coming back, well, I know you said 2021, but coming back the year before that, because that's what prepped my mind to be like, okay, let me think different. So coming back in the 2020 season, Brianna season, initially, no, I wasn't looking for captain. Like, I was just trying to, like, master the stylist thing because I just came off of cheering. But later on in the year, I kind of, like, thought differently. And that's only because I wasn't too much fond of the direction the Stingettes were going in, if that made sense. I just felt like it was totally different from when I had left. And of course things change and evolve, but I felt like we were losing sight of certain things that were imperative and that made us who we were, if that made sense. Right. And that's kind of what prepped me to kind of think, do I want to try out for captain? Do I want to consider myself in that position? That's kind of what initiated that. And I started, I don't want to say taking it serious, but I started like, I just started observing way more in practice to try to like, weigh out pros and cons and try to figure out if that's what I really wanted to do or not. So,
right. Yeah, most definitely. Yes. If you would have gotten captain, what do you think you would have brought to the table?
If I would have gotten captain, my main focus was character development. And when I say that, that's what my year crabbing, I feel like Miss Williams and Yasmin were so heavy on character development. Like we were doing a lot of stuff like watching inspirational talks and stuff like that. Like we were just they were real focused on like building us as young women. And I feel like somewhere along the lines it kind of got blurred. Like of course we're here to dance, but I kind of feel like it kind of just became strictly about that. Like we were kind of like losing sight of like building, like this is the opportunity to like build girls up, like build young women up to be someone else or something good in the world. So I definitely wanted to focus on character development. I wanted to reel back in all of those things that we were losing sight of. As far as uniformity, I feel like we were losing sight of being detail oriented. I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like I feel like we were losing things as far as like details. I feel like a lot of people just started dancing for themselves. I just felt like we weren't being a unit anymore. And I wanted to bring that back. I so desperately wanted to bring that back because that's not where I left off at. So coming back in, it was just kind of like kind of disappointing in a sense. And I just wanted to bring that back. Now, as far as dancing wise, like I said, the only thing that I really wanted to do for real was bring back attention to detail. Like we were really, when we were doing stands or doing field shows and stuff like that, we found ourselves in practice. We weren't doing it as frequent as when I was on the team. And I feel like regardless of what anyone says, we were together. Whether we was messing up 2018, I felt like we were a unit. Like we were definitely a unit. And I feel like spending a lot of time on stuff is critical. Like it may be boring, but it's critical. Like when you're actually spending effective amount of time on something, it's critical. And we were like flying by with certain stuff, and I didn't like that. I remember observing in practice us doing counts, and I'm seeing like freshmen doing stuff still wrong, and it wasn't like really being brought to anybody's attention. So I was kind of like that upperclassman that was always trying to correct something too. I was not trying to correct something because of course I didn't want to overstep my boundaries, but I was kind of like trying to be a second eye because a lot of people weren't like, I'm real detail oriented anyway. So I was trying to be real vocal. Okay, she doing something different. So I was always the one that was pointing out that type of stuff. And I wanted to bring that back, like us focusing on details and dancing as unit and not dancing against one another, but together. I also wanted to like little fun stuff. I wanted to bring in tricks because I am a cheerleader. I wanted us to go to tumbling classes. And I feel like it could have been achievable. I definitely do, because I've seen people that ain't did a lick of tumbling or cheer in their life get stuff like standing tucks within a week. So I definitely that as well. Kind of like spice it up a little bit. But my whole thing was bringing back the atmosphere that I once knew back into the organization, or trying like just saving. I didn't like what we were portraying to be. I wanted to reestablish that. You didn't get what I'm saying? I didn't like that. So I wanted to reel it back in. That was my whole.
Because even with, new counts, like a lot of the new counts just did not go with the Stingette brand as a
Yeah.
whole sometimes. So it's just like
Yeah.
trying to see how I can word it, because I'm really not trying to step on toes. I'm really trying to but
I get you.
it's just like sometimes the style was becoming everywhere. I will
Yes.
say
I
the
agree.
style was definitely becoming everywhere. And like I said, I really appreciate, this thing is, venturing out, doing new things, because you never know what will stick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
ugh.
I agree. I agree. I definitely feel like quality over quantity is something that is something for a reason. Like it's very relevant. Miss
Yeah.
Williams, when we were on the team with Miss Williams, she didn't let us produce a lot of counts because, and I see that now. I see now why she didn't let us produce a lot of counts. She was real particular about counts that we brought to her attention. Like, and we could have thought it was the baddest thing. Like, I remember some of the upperclassmen coming to her with counts, and I'm looking at her like, why she don't want that? Like, that is so cute.
Yeah.
But now seeing like how counts could, or the count book could become oversaturated to where you just like overproducing and it's not really like gelling with the style, I see how that could be detrimental now. Yeah.
And now that you say that, I also felt like it was too many hands involved. It was too it was too many hands involved, because like I said, the style was just going everywhere. I'm sorry, it really was, but it is what it is. All we can do is keep moving forward, Cham.
Of course.
So in 2021, like, how was Brianni as a captain? Like, what sometimes I did hear like you were really involved with Brianni sometimes. So like, how was that?
Okay, so initially, and Brianni don't know this, but initially I was a bit, I wasn't a bit skeptical because like I was on the team with Brianni, and Brianni is like
Right.
she has a pure spirit too. She kind of like a Yasmin, but
Yeah.
it's everybody else that kind of like made me skeptical with that whole situation. But I just told myself, because I was one of the oldest people on the team, so I just kind of told myself, I just thought about being a Caitlyn, honestly. I thought about being a Caitlyn. And I didn't get captain, but it was okay, because like I said, I wasn't really like gunning for that anyway. I was just happy to be on the team. So I told myself, okay, I might not have the full authority to try to push this, that, and the third, but I can kind of be of an influence. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of just looked at it as like, as far as like working with Brianni, I just kind of looked at it as like, cause she's fun anyway. She just makes she just kind of easy to just like, talk to her in a sense, or just be around her. So I just kind of told her like and then I've seen Brianni could be in her head too. She kind of like, with that, I can relate to that. So I kind of just like stepped out of myself with that situation and wanted to like be of assistance to her. Like, I knew I had knowledge from the years that they were on the team, so I was just like, I'm just gonna be of assistance to her. Like, I know I'm older and I feel like I could kind of like, and she kind of like reached out. I just let her, seek out for me. I didn't want to step on her toes. So I kind of just let her. She did. And that's kind of how I like, what's the word? I kind of like, that's how I was kind of like, I don't know, her second voice, if you will. Like, yeah, kind of that. But as a captain, Brianni is creative. That's one. Brianni's time is just like, some of the stuff she come up with, I just be like, how? Like, what?
Yeah. Like, where did that come from? Like, what?
Yeah. So she was definitely a creative captain. She was also fun. She was a fun captain. Yeah, she was a creative, fun captain. That was the most and she's sweet. She was sweet. She was also very Brianni, I know for sure she was adamant about trying to make the atmosphere lighthearted. That's how she or
Yeah.
not lighthearted. She was trying to make the atmosphere light so everybody could feel comfortable. I know because we talked about that, and she
Yeah.
did feel like that. Yeah, she was definitely a fun, creative. What's the word? Charismatic captain. That was
Yeah,
Brianni.
most definitely. And I'm glad that, Brianni was lighthearted because when it comes to women,
Yeah,
sometimes it could be a lot,
yeah.
especially how many girls y'all had in 18 21?
I think it
Like
was 16 to 18. I don't know.
16? Yeah. It was a big squad. Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
it was a big squad.
Yeah.
Uh so how did, being a stingette prepare you as a woman?
Being a stingette, preparing me as a woman, it really taught me to be prepared for anything, honestly. Because throughout all my years being a stingette, it's been so many things that have happened that I wouldn't have saw coming. So it really
Yeah,
taught me to be prepared for anything. Just stay ready so you don't gotta get ready. That's what it taught.
exactly.
That's how
Right.
it prepared, honestly.
Yes. So what would you say was your biggest strength as a dancer?
My biggest strength as a dancer would have to be my attention to detail. Definitely.
Yeah.
I would say I feel like a lot of people, and I'll argue somebody down about the D. I don't care. I will, and I have. I'll argue
It's
somebody down.
important.
Yes.
It's important.
I'll argue somebody down about the details of a dance or a count or the movement of something because I feel like a lot of the times it's so easy for details to just get lost along the lines. And I'm like one of the people like, no, it's like that. Like, no, we're gonna go refer back to this video. No, like I'm gonna show you that was me. So I feel like that
Hmm.
was definitely my strength as a dancer, my attention to
Yeah.
detail.
And like I said, that's important because, like you said, it gets lost in translation sometimes because year after year, it just
Yeah,
sometimes you might miss a pretty finger
yeah.
or sometimes you might miss something. Like it's important to me, child. I love details. What is your favorite part about being a member of a HBCU dance line?
My favorite part. Oh, that
And your
is
least favorite too.
okay. My favorite part was dancing in front of the band. Dancing in
Yeah.
front of the band. And I definitely say that because I've danced like after graduating, I've danced a few times and it just don't feel the same as dancing in front of an HBCU band, specifically the Mighty Marching Hornets. Shout out to y'all. It just I love dancing in front of the band. Oh my gosh, that was my favorite thing. My least favorite thing. Did I have a least favorite? Maybe I guess the critics, but I feel like critics are like almost everybody's least favorite thing. But I mean, critics are
Yeah.
critics for reasons, so
Yeah. Yeah. Between 18, 20, and 21, which was your favorite year to dance under?
2021. Like I
Yeah.
said, Brianni did good with trying to make the atmosphere light. And I really enjoyed that, especially it being my senior year. Especially it being my senior year, I was determined to enjoy it regardless. And she made it easy for me to do that. So
Yeah.
it would definitely be 2021.
Yeah. And I'm not shocked that you said 2021, but I'm really glad that you said 2021 because I felt like with 2021, it just seemed like you had a lot more fun 2021,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
did. I definitely
Yeah.
did.
Yes. So how was your experience leading for Turkey Day Classic in 2021?
Um, adrenaline rush, definitely. I was thinking, I don't know, it just I mean, I wasn't really excited, but I wasn't really nervous. I was just focused on trying not to throw the same counts that somebody else threw. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
That's hard.
that was what was going through my mind the whole time that I was leading. And I ended up having to throw row by row a lot because I was so short, and all of them.
Hmm.
I was so short, and it's a lot of tall people on the team, or not tall people, but yeah, it's a lot of tall people on the team. So it's like everybody was in everybody's way. So I ended up
Right.
having to throw row by row, and that kind of gave me the leverage to kind of think of what I was gonna do next. Like, okay, she did, yeah. So I mean, I was just really, really. I mean, I'm glad I got the opportunity. I thank you, Brianni, for that. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to lead. But yeah, I was just in my head trying not to throw somebody already.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really intimidating. People don't understand like how like you can dance in the mirror, you can dance with your friends, but when you get in front of so many people that you don't even know and you're not even comfortable around, like that is intimidating.
Yeah, because like I was captain in high school and throwing, like when you captain and you just throwing stands and ain't nobody else gotta throw stands, like you can throw what you wanted to throw. You don't gotta worry about like somebody else throwing counts. But like being that people done threw counts, I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna do?
Oh my God. Okay, so this is the last question as far as like this section. So do you feel that you mastered the Stingette style as much as your supporters feel like you mastered the style?
I mean, I feel like I've mastered it enough to where I'm content with it, but I feel like I didn't fully master it to.
Oh, please.
I'm so serious. I'm so serious. Like when you look at people like Victoria Betts, like you understand, like I just feel like but I'm always one of them people that feel like there's always room for improvement. I'm just one of those type of people anyway. But I do feel like I didn't master it to where like I would like to, but I'm content with how much I mastered it. I am.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's things like the glide.
Because I always
go ahead.
Because I always hear Jada is just so stink at, and I always say Jada stink at, baby. Jada is stinking down through and through, like the head nods, everything. Jada's that girl, always, always. Yes, well. So we're about to go into fan questions.
Okay.
So we have a first fan question from I do not know how to say his name. A Kenyan. I don't know if I'm saying it right. A Kenyan Mitchell. It says, "What count did you make up if you made any?"
I actually didn't make any counts, and I didn't make. What? Yeah, I didn't. I made up counts, but I never brought them to anybody's attention. Only because like everybody was making counts, and I just felt like the book was becoming oversaturated. So I just felt like, okay, I'm not just going. I just felt like I didn't want to overwhelm the book, like add on to it. Like I feel like somebody was coming up with a count every other week, and that kind of just made me like not want to show my counts for real. But I did help with certain counts, and I helped with certain walk-ins. So if you looking for one, I helped with that. That was probably a one and go thing too. I helped with the count that what was that? What game was that? Jackson?
That was JSU. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jackson. I helped with that count. I helped with that's Zai's count. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, I helped with that count. I helped with the walk in. How do we start off?
I love that count. Oh, I love that count.
I feel like how did that walk in start off? Dang, why I can't think. What we do to I'm not finna get up. But
you gotta get up.
What we do ha 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 ha. I can't remember.
I have to find it.
Yeah, because I don't remember. Okay, we did it. It was Breezier that we did it. We debuted it Breezy. And it's long. It's long. It's the only new count walk in that we debuted Breezier, but I can't think of it. I can't think of it for real. And of course I help with field shows. So
yeah. I have another question from Shane. It says, if you could see yourself in any other Stingette squad, which year would you choose?
I'm scared to answer that question.
I feel like, Give me, oh, either for me, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
Ooh,
Say
16
it,
or
say it.
17. 16
16,
or 17 for me.
okay. I
I
can
could
see
see
that.
you in a nasty tape. Ooh.
I can see that. I can see that. So I'm just say that because
Hey, we here. We see each other, child. So I have another question from Zach Morgan. It says, "How much do you love the misfit?"
that for real. That's my line, brother. I love y'all so much. Those are my siblings for Cheer Fight Leader. Love y'all.
Period. Period. I have a question from Michael Conway. What uniform would you like to have worn if you were able to?
I don't really. I'll say the uniform that they wore in 2019. It's I know it's definitely one of 2019 uniforms because them was my favorite uniforms. But it's between the black that they wore for Labor Day Classic or the black that they wore in the parade that they couldn't wear dancing.
With the fringe. I think they had fringe.
We had fringe for the MCC parade. They didn't have fringe.
The elegant one with the
yeah, yes, that was the
yes.
look. So it's between them two.
Yeah. Those are cute. Those are definitely cute. I have another question from Day Day. What was the hardest thing about being a Stingette?
The hardest thing about being a Stingette. I don't know. Maybe having your own business. I don't know, because everybody was always in your business, especially at state. It was just somebody was always in your business. That was about being a Stingette. Like I know y'all probably thinking, was it a certain stand or no? I'll say this: it was having your own business and smiling. That was definitely one of the hardest things to do, especially as a freshman, not coming from not smiling. I wasn't smiling in high school. Like we was like making these intimidating faces that everybody was making in high school. Smiling for sure, especially like having to close out every practice and listen to announcements and smile in front of the band the whole announcement. My team, look, I'm twitching. Yeah, smiling was definitely one. Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? I actually agree with the having your own business because a lot of people think that it's the internet, but most times it be the people at your own school.
Yes,
it's just always in your business.
It is definitely the people at the school. It's definitely them. It's definitely
yes. Like I'll be like, oh my God, like calm down. So let's go into fast pass. So fast pass is an either or sometimes you may have to just name a few things. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one is top 3 uniforms that you've worn.
My first uniform, my first Labor Day Classic, the white.
Okay.
Think. The military game, the yellow with the arm, the shoulder things.
Yeah.
And Labor Day Classic, with the pearls, the brown. I mean, not the brown, the white with the pearls. The bra. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yes. Oh, that first game.
Yeah,
that was hot. That was hot. Top 3 least favorite uniforms.
That uniform that we wore. What? I don't even know what. Oh, it was JSU my first year. It was like a. You know what I'm talking about? It was like, Jada wore it 2019 too. For a game, it was like a leotard with like all of this was bedazzled, but it was yeah, that the second uniform for the military appreciation game this past season, I didn't like. I feel like if it was just a leotard, it would have been cute, but we couldn't wear it with just leotard because it was too French cut. But that's fine. What else? It's another one. It's another one. It's another one. It's another one. I don't think I have another one.
I'm trying to think of the uniforms that you wore. What? I don't want to give you hints.
2020, the last game when we had the bob, and
the black uniform.
Yeah, I ain't like that.
You didn't like that? I like that one. That was cute. A lot of people really want this thing is to bring back that gold uniform that y'all wore. That was it the first? No, that is the second game in 2020.
Oh yeah, I like that. They
love that. They love that.
Too many malfunctions, but I loved it. Yeah. I feel like if it fit better, that would have been perfect. But it looked great. It looks great. Leotard or two-piece? Leotard.
Fast, medium, or slow?
Medium.
Favorite halftime performance that you performed?
Dang, I didn't think about that. You Wear It Well. My first halftime.
Okay. Favorite song in the stands?
Dang. I think it's called Fake Friends.
Oh yes, that was high. I love Fake Friends. Favorite count?
Dang, everybody always asks me this. And I guess you could say this is my favorite count because I'm always throwing it in practice. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Leading or following?
Following.
Stands or halftime show?
Halftime show. Even though it's stressful, I like performing halftime show.
Homecoming, MCC, or Turkey Day Classic?
MCC, because Homecoming was weak when I was dancing, but Homecoming past season was turned, but MCC.
Yeah. MCC. Okay, so that concludes that. Yes. So I have a few more questions. With your sister going to Miles as a Golden Star dancer, what advice did you give to her?
Okay, well, first let me say this. This is for everybody that's watching. Her name is Jordan, y'all, because she don't like it when y'all be calling her Jada Denny's sister. Her name is Jordan. Yeah. Jordan Hanks. I'm sick of hearing her talk about that. Advice that I gave her, I really just told her to just have fun. Because I already told her, and I didn't even really have to tell her. She already kind of knew because, and I'm her older sister. So it's like a lot of people compare me to her or have been doing that their whole life. So that was kind of like, we kind of already knew that was going to come with the territory. So I was just kind of encouraging her to like, as I was told, but we brought up like that already not really too much care about what everybody else is saying, just like focus on what it is that we're doing. So I kind of reassured her or reinstated that, and also told her to just have fun. Like, don't worry about what everybody else is saying, because if anybody told me anything, I wish they had just told me to just have fun and live in the moment. Because my crab year, I was always looking to please not the fans, but please my sponsor, my captain, and my teammates. Like, not really like thinking about myself. So I was telling her, like, advising her to just like dance for yourself, like have fun, like enjoy what it is that you're doing. Like, you're not going to get these years back, because when it's gone, it's gone. So just like have fun, just genuinely.
That's true. That is definitely true. If you had an all-star team of 13 Stingettes, who would be on your all-star team?
And I know you be asking. And I prepare myself. I'm gonna say Loggy.
Okay.
I'm gonna say.
Now it's 13, including you.
Oh, okay. Me, Loggy. I'm gonna say Talia because I really like Talia growing up watching, or not growing up, but like watching the Stingettes. I really liked her. LaShanae, Victoria, Brittany Woodard, Asia, Zakiria. I gotta have my baby.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of everybody. Dang, what's going on? Kiki.
Oh yes.
Oh, Brianni. 3 more people.
Mm-hmm.
And this team is all over the place because I feel like everybody's style is different, but I just love everybody's style. So
yeah.
I say
Your
Amar.
mama.
Who?
Did you say Yasmin?
Did I say Yasmin? Oh no!
Oh my God.
Yasmin. I say Amari. 2019 Amari. And Jordan Carter.
That's a cute team. That's hot. I like that. That's hot. What advice would you give somebody who wants to try out to be a Stingette?
First and foremost, don't study the stands. I mean, you can, but make sure you study in the field shows to a T, like as best as you can. Like actually try to teach yourself the field shows and actually perform it like you're on field like as often as you can before trying out. I would definitely also say to focus on yourself. You accomplish so much more when you focus on yourself, like so much more. Don't let your abilities or your lack of what you can't do stop you from chasing your goals, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like you might not have forte turn. I didn't have forte turns when I tried out, but I faked it till I make it. Till I made it. So I would definitely say don't let your lack of ability stop you from trying out. Like definitely just go in there with an open mind and just be open to all of the possibilities. Like be open to everything. Just like you just never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Definitely. Yes, ma'am. So how was life after, being a Stingette? Or what are your future plans?
Life after being a Stingette or life after graduating period is hard. You get a slap of the real world. It's no longer you just on campus, you don't really got paid for nothing. Everything is kind of like easy going. It's no longer that. So I definitely say life after graduating more specifically is hard. Life after becoming a Stingette is regular. Life after becoming a Stingette is regular. I do miss it. I miss it a lot. And it still hasn't hit me like, dang, I'm not going to be in them stands for real unless I'm coming back for a homecoming or something. It hasn't hit me yet, but that is kind of like that's kind of sad, especially since I hyped myself up so much to get to those moments and it's finally over. Like that's it, no more. My future plans, I do have something in the works I'm not going to speak too much on. I can't speak on it now, but
Gotcha.
Other than that, I'm just letting God order my steps as far as my future plans. I'll just stay tuned.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I just want to thank you so much. You gave us so much insight today. Like, I'm glad that you shared your story here. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Morgan. Thank you for having
You're
me.
welcome. You are more than welcome, okay? You are more than welcome, baby. I had a time of my life, okay? Thank you again.
Thank you. You have a good
All
one.
right. You too.
Yes.